Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. I'm Chris, this is my channel, absolute pleasure to have you with me. And in today's video installment, I want to swing back around to San Diego Comic-Con. I mentioned in a video I did last week about the Big Bad Workshop, Operation Monster Force, and Order of the Crimson Moon stuff, that I wanted to have a little bit of a natter about the NPC line. They were showing off a number of production models at San Diego Comic-Con at their exhibition stand that they had there. But then, subsequently, the following week, they started to put out some more official photos of what was in the cabinets so that we could take a closer look at them on their social medias. I've cheekily grabbed those and wanted to have a bit of a natter about it today. So I realised San Diego Comic-Con was a little while ago now, but I've been thinking about them and I want to talk about it. So let's get into it. So conceptually, the NPC, the non-playable character subline, is pretty straightforward. They are producing a selection of characters, figures that are usable across your entire 6-inch figure collection to fill certain kind of gaps that you might be looking for in terms of civilians or, C-list characters or background characters. To deck out your photos, to deck out your displays, to deck out your dios, etc., etc. Not a fresh new idea by any stretch of the imagination. Seems like everybody's doing it at the minute. Sharpmas Prime did his, what was it called? Street Humans Kickstarter, was it? Kickstarter a while ago. Didn't pay a lot of attention to that. But like G.I. Joe Classified are doing, SWAT policemen and firefighters and such like. Oh, and Valaverse have got like a hoodie wearing group of people that I think he's got coming out over on the Valaverse side sometime soon as well. So it's not a fresh idea, it's not new. And even over on the Marvel Legends side, a lot of folks would pick up suited characters or, like the Randall Park character in his FBI gear from, is it Ant-Man or WandaVision? One of the two, but anyway, he was in like a combat jacket and a shirt, kind of plain sort of civilian clothing stuff, not to use as those characters, but to kit bash around and use as, again, your background, ancillary characters, civilians, supporting police officers, etc., etc. So it's not a new idea by any stretch of the imagination, but as always, Big Bad Workshop, in collaboration with Fresh Monkey Fiction, have put their own little kind of Fresh Monkey Fiction style spin on it. And I think that's why it's standing out to me. So let's start with a pretty typical sort of set of background characters you might see in a superhero scene, a couple of police officers. And here we've got a kind of SWAT commando type dude, and then on the far side there we've got like a suited detective kind of fella. Obviously, a lot of reuse going on here. We've seen suited characters in Operation Monster Force, in Soldiers of Fortune, etc., etc. They're obviously reusing a lot of the kind of combat gear from toy soldier stuff that they've done in Operation Monster Force to make the SWAT guy. That's all fine. That is what it is. But what sets these apart a little bit, I think, when you sort of compare the SWAT officer to, say, the ESU, in G.I. Joe Classified, or you compare the detective over there to a suited Marvel Legends character that you bashed up to be a police detective, is that there's just a little hint of something else, a little bit of extra va-va-voom. The least of which is the head sculpts. The head sculpts on the two. Like the SWAT guy has just got this kind of real 80s SWAT movie grizzly head kind of thing going on. There's almost maybe a kind of pre-Robo Alex Murphy kind of vibe about him, and he's giving off that kind of 80s or 90s action movie kind of vibe that the Classified ESU didn't quite do. Or the detective, he's got this kind of cynical, grisly, alcoholic detective vibe in the head sculpt too. So he's just got this little extra bit of something that I've not detected up to this point around the type of ancillary figures you might use as background characters. And of course, we know Big Bad Workshop stuff's well sculpted, it's got a lot of detail in it. So little touches like the badges that the detective's got, although in this example, they've got him holding his badge and wearing it around his neck. But nonetheless, it'll look good. It'll look like a good good brass copper badge. And the fact that they've the way they've articulated the hand, they've introduced a hand where he's holding up his badge to show, at the doorstep or whatever, or as he's passing through the crime scene cordon or something. Just that extra little touch, you know what I mean? So yeah, okay, we've seen the bodies before, but it's that element of thought that's going into it, that's leaning into the sort of pop culture tropes that we, as the collectors, as massive middle-aged people in states of arrested development trying to relive our nostalgia of the 80s and 90s would want from the figures. Do you get what I mean? Here's another pair, another example. So you've got like this, I think it was called the Soccer Mom character, and then like a wayward teen sort of punk kind of character there on the far side. Again, leaning into a sort of pop culture trope. You can see these two characters getting good use. You know, grab your NECA horror characters or your Operation Monster Force evil people, and get them, you know, attacking these poor two unsuspecting civilians. Once again, just like really evoking that kind of American suburban white picket fence movie setting or TV show type setting that, again, you might want to have as your kind of ancillary background characters in some of the stuff that you might be photographing or setting up as dios in your collection. And well articulated up to the standard of your, you know, your main character in that setup, because they've got the butterfly joints, they've got the barbell, they've got the ball waist, thigh cuts, double elbows, double knees. You know, it's all the good articulation stuff. Also, they're two completely fresh books. You know, there's no, at least to my eye, there's no reuse in those at all. They're just fresh creations for the NPC line. So that sense of nostalgic whimsy and that sense of play, just like the Coppers, these guys are doing it too, sense of play that's introduced into the way you might use these NPCs in your collection. And it's that sense of play, that sense of whimsy that I think sets it apart from the likes of the upcoming Valaverse hoodie and trainer crowd there's coming out, or the Street Humans, or the kind of ancillary characters the G.I. Joe Classified are doing, you know? And another two great examples, just to kind of back up what I'm saying. We've got the FBI agent over there, and then the kind of exorcist, you know, pastor, reverend, kind of character here. Once again, both leaning very heavily into kind of accepted, understood, nostalgic tropes that collectors of my generation would respond well to. The FBI guy's got his blue windbreaker on, with the FBI logo emblazoned across it. He's got the pastel shirt and chinos, you know, just really evoking and leaning into that kind of pop culture trope of an FBI agent. The face sculpt looks lovely and grisly, comes with a torch, comes with a 6-shooter pistol, got the badge as well, you know, really adding up. And The Exorcist, of course, is leaning very heavily into well, naturally, The Exorcist, the movie The Exorcist, but of course that whole kind of genre of sort of Catholic exorcism horrors that have taken place over the years. He's got the crucifix. He's got a fresh hand sculpt gripping the rosary beads. You know, he's got the crucifix round his neck. Just these extra little touches that take them to the next level in terms of being your background ancillary characters. And again, that sense of nostalgic whimsy, that nostalgic playtime engagement with your collection that I think these are doing really, really well. Here's a couple more. Again, just drawing super heavy inspiration from those very classic tropes of bank robbers, you know, with rubber masks to disguise their identity while in the act of robbing the bank. Either that, or they've left one of the, you know, one of the fresh monkey figures sat on a radiator for too long or something. But it's all reuse, you know, the suits, the long coat jacket, all this stuff we've seen before in their collections, in their lines. I think the long coat there is the Dr. Rand white coat. The suit, obviously, we've seen numerous times. But the addition of just these two rubber masked, disguised faces, you immediately, as soon as you see them, go, bank robbers. And again, the way that that connects to the man-child play experience you might be looking for from a set of characters that are the NPCs, I think is really, really shrewd. And I think it shows that these figures are being designed by someone who gets it and gets us, you know? Take a look at this pair. A couple of cheerleaders. Yeah, cheerleaders. Once again, fresh new sculpts. I think the one with the pom-poms over there is the same as the Wayward team, but without obviously the kind of gothy stuff. And I think that's the same as the Soccer Mom top half anyway, not the bottom half with the shorts. But once again, just leaning into that stuff. You know, these are horror. Once again, kind of horror movie, kind of classic narrative circumstances, isn't it? That the cheerleader's getting chased by the evil, villainous, monstrous guy or the serial killer or whatever. But the megaphone, the pom-pom hands, the holding the ball, a baseball presumably, in the other hand there. And who knows what other accessories they'll throw in with these, you know? What else they'll do. But these would be great if you were doing, I don't know, like you're a Spider-Man fan and you've got your Spider-Man and Ned 2-pack and you just want to set up a like kind of little school hallway scene or something. Boom, got you sorted, you know? Maybe you want to, I don't know, kit bash up, you know, some kinky role play between Cyclops and Jean Grey. I don't know, whatever's your thing. But there you go. Fresh Monkey Fiction and Big Bad Workshop have got you sorted. Now on to these guys, the mobster selection. We've in fact got 4 figures. I've got 2 slides of 2 of these guys who definitely caught my eye. In fact, when they initially announced these figures, I think maybe at San Diego Comic-Con last year, they were referenced as a new line called the Syndicate. Seems like they've now rolled that into the NPC space. But that's fine by me. That's fine by me. I had a whole phase in my life where I was into the kind of whole prohibition, gangster stuff, obsessed with it, which was initiated. I'm not ashamed to admit, my guilty pleasure is 100% the Warren Beatty Dick Tracy movie. Love it. I've still even got my Dick Tracy prequel comics from back in the day. Well, 2 of them. I can't find number 3. It'll be in one of the long boxes somewhere. But yeah, check these out. Some of you folks who hang around these parts regularly all know that I'm one for, I'll burn down a collection, sell it on, and move on to the next new thing that's caught my attention. But one of my biggest regrets in life was my Dick Tracy action figure collection from the 90s. Oh, boy. Some of them I bought when on holiday in Florida. I've got a picture of me with... Anyway, I'm in the weeds. I'm on a tangent, but I've got a picture of me with a Warren Beatty lookalike all in the Dick Tracy gear at Disney World, Florida, or Disneyland. Is it Disneyland in Florida and Disney World, California? I get mixed up. Anyway, onto these. In fact, these have got big Dick Tracy vibes. I mean, that's basically Lips Manless and Mumbles, isn't it? And then this pair have got a, that's an 88 keys and a, who's that? That's Prune Face, obviously, isn't it? But again, just largely reuse. Certainly the suit is. I think the big Lips Manless at the other end there is obviously suited up in a new book because he's got the, you know, the bulkier, stereotypical fat-bellied gangster kind of vibe about him. But the head sculpts with the fedora hats and the bowler hat and the Spitfire caps and stuff just really brings them to life. Again, the minute you look at them, you go, Prohibition gangsters. Knuckle duster fists, cigarette smoking hands, which again, the cigarette smoking hand has been sculpted and will get reuse in the Fury Force line. We've seen that. So, you know, they're doing sensible reuse, but in addition to the horror tropes and the cop movie tropes and stuff that they're leaning into, they've got this kind of, well, I suppose this is cops and robbers still, isn't it? But just sort of leaning into that prohibition gangster movie kind of thing as well. And would make, you know, good Dio's independent scenes in their own right. But you could use them with, I don't know, a classic 40s uniform, Captain America, or their own upcoming Rocketeer line. Or did the Defenders of the Earth have the Phantom in it? Can't remember. You know, stuff like that. Go wild. Maybe DC Mattel will do classic look Justice Society folks that can rumble with some gangsters. Or if you don't mind the slight difference in scale and you can play around with it with your camera, get your Adam West McFarlane Batman on the job, beating the shit out of these guys or something. Do you know what I mean? And there's variation in amongst them all. Some of them have got suits on, some of them got long jackets on, some of them have got like the 88 keys one in his waistcoat and Spitfire cap and stuff in his Baker Boy. So just really bringing it to life. And the Tommy gun as well. The Tommy gun looks ace. Although, have we seen the Tommy gun already from Fresh Monkey Fiction? Or is my Tommy gun from someone else that I've got? Anyway, the Thompson submachine gun looks awesome too. It just really opens up another world of possibility of man-child playtime that excites me. And again, it's filled with a sense of sort of whimsy and nostalgia that I just don't think other toy manufacturers are quite cracking the nut on, that these demonstration models are. There's also a whole little thing. I don't know whether there is an intention to continue with it, but when they were announced as the Syndicate, they had the classic, you know, 1920s prohibition look about them. But then they also had hands and heads that were like cyborg swap outs. So it was, so you could use it with your kind of cops and crooks, or give it a science fiction vibe, you know. I don't know if that's still planned though. Someone let me know in the comments down below if they know the answer to that. But nonetheless, really, really switched on by these guys, just because I've got that childhood thing about Dick Tracy. Not ashamed to admit it. Dick Tracy's awesome. So that's it really on the NPCs. I'll just reiterate something that I mentioned at the close of the video I did on Operation Monster Force and Order of the Crimson Moon, and that's that's one subline, one Fresh Monkey Fiction stroke Big Bad Workshop subline in amongst a raft that they are working on at this moment in time. Fury Force, I've done a video on. I'll go track that down, talking about the announced release of Fury Force. Eagle Force stuff, they've been doing that for a long time in the 118 scale, but now they're bringing it to life in the 112 scale. The Raven Society, they did show a couple of figures actually on that, kind of drawing on these kind of classic sort of gothic author crowd. The Edgar Rice Burroughs deal, the Cops and Crooks, Fresh Monkey, Agents of Omega, which we've only had one figure for so far, I think, off the top of my head. The Longbox Heroes, again in the 112 scale, and the Soldiers of Fortune that we've seen releases for already. So the NPCs obviously fit in really well with the rest of this stuff, but I'll just reiterate my same concern that they're showing off a lot of stuff, but they don't have a great pedigree with getting stuff out and into hands. And I just fear that the more they show off and the more previews they do, the longer and longer and longer it's going to take to get this stuff that's got me excited into my hand, and that they may stretch themselves too thin. To reiterate, those mobsters that we've just taken a look at, I definitely know for fact we saw last year, and I'm pretty sure it was San Diego Comic-Con last year as well. So there's been at least 12 months of them still in sort of production sculpt points, with no new announcements, no further movement on them. So I suppose what I'm saying is, if I've got you excited about the NPCs today, please do bear in mind that the Big Bad Workshop machine moves slow. Their production is definitely not at any kind of pace, and they're spread very, very thin, and so you'll need to exercise some patience. Don't get into it if you haven't got the patience. Which begs the question, why am I into it? Because I've definitely not got the patience. Well, I know why I'm into it, because they look great, and I enjoy them, and they bring me a lot of fun and joy. And I just, again, to labour the point, I feel like the NPC line that we've seen at San Diego Comic-Con from these guys just brings with it just a little touch of something else. They're just sprinkled with a little bit of extra magic that is separating them from the crowd for me, in terms of what I want to do and how I want to play with my action figures, and how I might want to use the NPCs in amongst the rest of my 6-inch collection. So there we go then, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you excited by the NPCs? Which one caught your eye the most? Have I missed any? There may have been some. They didn't do official photos on the social media for everything that was in the cabinets. There might have been more revealed in the cabinets that I've not clocked onto. So let me know about that too. Keep me in the loop. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then press all the YouTube buttons that help a toy tube a friend out. But in the meantime, have yourselves a great day. Have yourselves a great week. Swing back around again for another video sometime soon, and I'll catch you next time. All right, take it easy.